This is what's wild in New Hampshire by wildlife biologist Eric Orr. Well, I had some errands to do today, and I ended up shooting up here to Alton, the town of Alton. But I stopped at the Alton Dam, just kind of checking to see if there's any salmon here. They've been known to be salmon run up to this dam this time of year. Well, let's take a closer look at the water. Do you see any salmon there? There have been salmon here before. Back when I was in the fisheries division, back in the mid-70s, we'd check the Alton River in the fall to see how the salmon were running. And we would sometimes spot salmon here in the river. I don't see any leaping salmon today, but let's take a look at the sign at the dam again. Alton Power Dam. I don't remember it generating any power here. It's owned and managed by the New Hampshire Fish and Game Department, operated and maintained by the New Hampshire Department of Environmental Services, Concord, New Hampshire. So, look above. This is Mermaiding Marsh. Up there, all the way up, is that way is Mermaiding Marsh. So, Fish and Game, back in the 50s and 60s, built dams to make marshes. Our beavers were gone by the early 1800s in New Hampshire. Actually, mid to late 1700s, the beavers were essentially gone, and they were gone for 150 years, basically. So they didn't come back until the 40s and 50s. And in the meantime, the New Hampshire Fish and Game Department built wetlands around the state to help bolster the species that rely on wetlands. Our waterfowl, mink and beaver and muskrats, all of our waterborne animals had very few ponds in the 40s, 50s, and 60s because the beavers had been gone. I grew up in Londonderry in the 60s, and all the beaver ponds were new. They had just come back into southern New Hampshire in the 60s. And and here's one of the dams that I'm guessing Fish and Game built to flood the wetlands above for the waterfowl and the wetland creatures. And we know that something like 80% of New Hampshire's wildlife spend part of their life cycle very close to water, within 100 yards, within the distance that most beaver drag things, 100 to 200 yards. Everything depends on our wetlands. And at one time, Fish and Game were the creator. Before the beavers were as numerous as they are, before that, it was Fish and Game that created the wetlands and put up duck nesting boxes to help bring back our waterfowl and other species that had been depleted over the years because the habitat was lost. The beavers were eliminated, and along with that, the wetlands associated with beavers were gone for 150, 200 years. Fish and Game built some dams trying to help bring back species that had been reduced in numbers because our habitat for them was gone. So here is another dam. I had forgotten this one was built by the New Hampshire Fish and Game Department. I'd have to look up the history, but I bet it was in the 50s or 60s. Anyways, just a stop along my travels today, taking a look at what turns into Mermaiding Marsh up that way, and down this way is the Mermaiding River. Some awesome fall fishing some years. I haven't heard how it went this year. Anyways, a very cool spot. The Alton Dam, Alton, New Hampshire. Yeah, pretty cool nevertheless. This is wildlife biologist Eric Orr for What's Wild in New Hampshire.